Hello guys, this is Anthony back here again with a deck profile of a deck that I recently got first place with, going 8-0 in regionals. This is in 60 card Light and Darkness Azamina list that I've been working on, that I feel like is like pretty strong, and there's some engine ratios here that might be different from a couple other lists, and I'll explain my reasoning why. But yeah, here's like a little bit of what I've been working on recently and the deck that I've been really liking. So getting right into the deck profile, we have 3 copies of the Records of Rights, and 3 copies of the Griffo, and then 1 copy of the Black Chaos for all of the Light and Darkness starters. So the reason why I'm only playing 1 copy of Black Chaos is because the Light and Darkness engine has a big issue where all of its starters lead to the same board state that like all get interrupted by the same hand trap, and then once you get interrupted there's no way to extend past it with even if you draw multiples of them. So the deck has a very big redundancy issue. It's like back then in DDD where you had 17 different ways to search Kepler and contract with a gate, but if your opponent just saved the interruption for contract with a gate, you just didn't have combo. So in order to minimize the issue of having like multiples of these in your hand and then getting ashed on your mind shuffle and then having no plays, I only play 1 copy of the Black Chaos so that if I need him to either break a board or if I need to access him to start my engine via Magician's Souls, I still have him in the deck, but otherwise I do not actively wish to draw this card. And then moving on to the other light dark cards, I'm playing 2 copies of the Skull Archfiend, 1 copy of the Black Chaos Ritual Monster, 1 copy of the Light Dark Ritual, and then 1 copy of Mind Shuffle. So the reason why the ratios are like this is because I'm playing the Mitsu engine, so the Skull Archfiend, as long as you have any way to get it to the graveyard, is actually full combo, because you can send Mirror and add Habakiri, and that actually kickstarts your combo. So the Skull Archfiend is a card that you actually want to draw, and you'll see that the other engines I have all have a way to basically get him in the graveyard. And then the one other thing is, why do I only run 1 Mind Shuffle and why do I not run the BLS? It's because the BLS, all it contributes for being an extra brick is just your 1 banish, and that like just doesn't do anything, because if you full combo them, you don't need the 1 banish, and if you're in a state where the 1 banish comes up, it just almost never happens. You almost just never need it to come up, and because you play the 1 Black Chaos and the 1 Ritual Monster, if you need to like Mind Shuffle swap, you can still swap between those two, and like a lot of the times, the when you're out of the disruptions, Mind Shuffle swapping doesn't really save you anyway. So just running these to make your Chaos engine as consistent as possible with less bricks is something that I really enjoyed after testing, and it's like the strongest possible variant for the Light and Darkness engine. And then moving on to the Azamina engine, we have the standard engine, 3 copies of the Wanted, 3 copies of Diabel Star, 1 copy of the Deception, and then 1 copy of the Hollowed Azamina. There's not much to explain about this. This is just, really good engine. The Diabel Star can help get your Skull Archfiend in the graveyard. The Deception can synergize with your Mitsurugi cards by distributing the ones out of your hand. So a lot of the times, if you start with, let's say, a Habakiri and then your Saji gets interacted with, you can still tribute the Habakiri out of your hand to get like more extenders for your deck. It might not be able to fully kickstart your Mitsurugi engine, but it still has synergy nonetheless. And this is like a 8-card package where 7 of them are starters, so it's like a very good package in general. And obviously it helps bridge to your other engines. There's not much to say about that. And then the main engine of the deck is Mitsurugi. We run pre-prep. Obviously in this deck, pre-prep and Ragged both have 2 targets, so that's also very good, because being able to Ragged for Habakiri or being able to pre-prep for your Chaos cards in case you went into the Habakiri already with your Skull Archfiend is very strong. And then obviously the 3 prayers, the 1 Habakiri, 2 Aramasa for the Mitsurugi starters, and then 1 Kusanagi, 1 Saji, 1 Murakuma, 1 Futsu, 1 Mirror, 1 Ritual, and 1 Purification. These are the quote-unquote bricks, but in reality, like, the only cards that you really don't want to draw are like these. If you draw these, it's fine, because your other 2 engines both have ways to tribute. So like if you draw these and you just resolve a ritual to tribute this for Demok, or you resolve a deception to tribute these for your hollowed, you all get to search Habakiri and you get into combo anyway. So a lot of the times drawing these in your opening hand is actually fine. Same with the Saji. Even if you draw Saji, at worst it's 2 bodies in your link deck, because this deck is like, being a link deck has so many advantages because you get to play the game in a completely different way. Most decks, when they see Saji, they're like, oh, I drew a brick. It doesn't really help me here. But if I'm playing a link deck, I can be like, oh, Saji is 2 instances of a level 4 body. I can normal summon the Saji, search a prayers, and then prayers gets me back to Saji. That's basically 2 link material. But obviously, I run another card in my deck that makes so that my normal summons cannot activate the effects usually if I bridge into it, but if you tribute the Saji, it still like gives value, so it's fine. These are the bricks that you play in order to make your other cards like good. Obviously, this is what you reveal off of Ragged Ritual Breakers. This is what you get off of the Skull Archfiend and the pre-prep. And then the last engine is the Adventure Engine. This engine also contributes to your plays by being a discard off Witch, by the spell traps having synergy with souls, by being able to pitch your Skull Archfiend to the graveyard, being able to get access off Zena, and so like all your engines like bridge into this very perfectly. And if they don't have Droll, this is basically 3 more copies of Called By. So it's just like a very strong engine in general. And the best part about this engine is that it has no bricks and no extra deck slots dedicated to it. So if there's a matchup where you need to side out the entire engine to side in more hand traps, you're not impacting your deck at all. So the Adventure Engine ratios I run are 3 copies of Enchantress, because that's the card you wanted to you draw, 2 copies of the Rider Aramis here, 1 copy of Faithful, 1 copy of Griffin Rider, and 1 copy of the Dracoback. Being a link deck, even if you draw these 2 cards, they're still fine. Griffin Rider is a Mind Shovel target. You can easily just summon Griffin Rider onto the field first action to threaten Mind Shuffling into Black Chaos. And even in your end board, let's say you started with the Mind Shuffle and you went Mind Shuffle, pitch Skull Archfiend, search Habakiri, and then you might say, oh, then you don't get access to Black Chaos. But no, actually, on your opponent's turn, you have a Griffin on the field. You just bounce the Griffin for Black Chaos, and then the Griffin can resummon itself. So it's just like a lot of synergy in general. And even if you don't have combo, a lot of the times, especially going second, the Adventure Engine forces out a lot of stuff. The Griffin forces interaction, the Dracoback forces interaction. These 2 cards this card being a free pitch forces interactions, the being able to send these off of Magician's Souls forces interactions, and then afterwards you use these link bodies to link climb into like Dark and your other cards, and it like forces a lot more. So honestly speaking, this engine was like way overperforming. I wanted to like maybe cut something for Foolish Burials so I can get access to this engine more, but that's like more for the future. But yeah, after that we have the 1 Souls to bridge all the engines together. Obviously this is very strong. I run the Ripperdokus, so you can bridge from the Mitsurugi engine to the other engines via turning Habakiri into a spellcaster and then making Demon. So yeah, this is a very strong card. And then the non-engine. So the non-engine is 3 copies of Prulia, 3 copies of Fua, 2 copies of Droll, 3 copies of Sloth in the main, 3 copies of the Droplet, and then 1 copy of Called by the Grave. Because this is a 60 card deck and there's just not a lot of space for non-engine, I squeezed up as much space as possible, but since there's just not enough non-engine to justify like drawing multiples, I just wanted non-engine that are like as powerful as possible. So like high impact non-engine that has synergy with your deck, because your deck doesn't mind discarding cards to the graveyard. Like you have adventure cards that are just cards on the board, or you have like Skull Archfiends, like Dead, Mind Shuffles and stuff. And this cards are good at generating advantage, and then the highest impact hand traps that like aim to stop their weak hands and give me a chance to play going second. And then the Pot of Sloth in the main is a spell, so it's not really like you can get rid of it off of Magician Souls if you get to the D mod, and then going second, it just lets you shuffle bricks back into the deck with a deck with a lot of bricks. And the best part about running Pot of Sloth in the main is you don't have to dedicate slots in the side for Pot of Sloth, which means you get to side deck more effective cards. And then post side, if you go first, you can just cut these 9 and put in 9 hand traps, which is like really strong. And then post side, if you go second, you can just cut the entire adventure engine and then put 9 more hand traps on top of your already big non-engine lineup, which means that like post side, this deck doesn't really have the issue of having not a lot of non-engine. And I think I lost 7 dice rolls. I went first only one time during the tournament. So like this just demonstrates like how strong this deck's like going second capability is. Just like being able to break board with engine plus like 1 or 2 pieces of like high impact non-engine. And then going into the extra deck, we have the 3 fusion monsters, the 1D mod to bridge everything, and then the 2 Azamina monsters. There's not much to talk about here. And then going towards the Link monsters, the 1 Anima, Cross Sheep, Dark, SP, these are like standard, and then the 1 Ripperdokus to bridge Mitsurugi into the others by turning Habakiri into a spellcaster. The 1 the Protect Code Firewall combo to add back Black Chaos, the Selene access code to like access the Abel Star and then to go for game. And then last but not least, the Zena to access Droll Lockbird or access the Adventure Engine if you don't bridge into it. If you don't already have it, the Charmers to get back like to your engine or like refresh your other negates as an endboard piece. And then last but not least, the Underworld Goddess to get rid of problematic stuff like Light Dark Chaos Angel and other cards that your opponent thinks you have no out for, but in reality you do. This wins a lot of games. This breaks like in the Light Dark Mirror. A lot of the times you can bait out all of your opponent's interaction and then stick them on just a Mind Shuffle loop, and then you just eat their Black Chaos with this, and then you win the game. And then for the side deck, I run a lot of hand traps because my main deck doesn't have a lot of hand traps. So if I run into FTK matchups, I need to side in a lot of hand traps. So I run the 3 Ash, the 3 Bell, the 3 Nib to respect combo decks like Elf Notes, and then also Nib is a Mind Shuffle target, so it's actually really strong. And then two bit steals for like Mirror and Mitsu and stuff, the 1 Talons, 2 Lightning Storm, and 1 Duster. There's not much to say about this. And then that's basically it for the deck profile. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave it down below. If enough people want like a combo demonstration, I can like release a video on that. But otherwise, this is like the deck I've used, and there's, yeah. Let me know what you think. It's a really cool deck, and I think I'm gonna play with it until like the tunes come out. But yeah, anyways, this has been Anthony, and signing off.